There we go.
There we go.
Yes, people, welcome back to Let's Talk Premier League. We're here for the Liverpool show. Sorry about that. My internet was playing up again, as it normally does with primetime Friday night viewing. But I'm joined by Steve, Rayan, Reese, and Tom. How are we all doing, guys?
We're all good, mate. Well, I am anyway.
Good,
Mate.
It's not been a bad week for Liverpool. I mean, obviously, you didn't have to play United last week. You have got that rearranged fixture. Obviously, Steve was saying that he has zero sympathy for United. I would hardly expect you to have sympathy for United. But I suppose that's a fair way to start, is the protest that went on. Klopp has had his say about saying that the protest went way too far, which I think everyone's in agreement. I mean, my opinion is you can smash up what you want, just don't hurt people. Like that's just my philosophy. Like, I don't really care that Sky had a few broken cameras, to be perfectly honest, because I don't really care for Sky. Just don't hurt other fellow human beings. But Steve, we'll start with you. What did you make of the protests that we saw last Sunday, and what sort of impact do you think it will have?
I understand it. We went through it with Gillette and Hicks, only we didn't smash our ground up. Doesn't make any sense to do that if you're a fan of that club, to then smash the ground up, break doors and stuff. I personally think the two guys from Sky Sports, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, should have been taken off air when it became apparent things were turning a little bit nasty, because Gary Neville's been inciting a fair bit with the things that he's been saying. He's very direct, very hypocritical, because what he's complaining about with Liverpool and United, he's doing on a lesser scale with Salford City in terms of revenue and influencing and financial fair play. So I find that a bit rich coming from him. There has to be a change in football. Manchester United fans are probably the ones feel most affected, because Liverpool didn't saddle, when they were taken over, FSG didn't saddle Liverpool with 700 million pound of hedge fund debt, which is what Manchester United's owners did. And they've spent 700 million pound on players, and we laugh at that, and rightly so in some cases. But they've also spent £1 billion in debt interests accrued by the Glazers before they took over the club. So I understand the frustration, and I understand the position that Manchester United fans feel they're in. That is not the way to deal with it. If you want to get owners out of your club, don't buy season tickets, don't buy memberships, don't buy football shirts, and don't buy TV subscriptions, because the only way you get these people out of your football club is to take away the one thing they're in it for, which is the money. Smashing up the ground and all of that nonsense won't have even registered on the scale for the Glazers. They will not be bothered by the weekend's events at all. The only downside for them is they're a pretty big police bill to pay, and they'll have to do it again because the match has been rescheduled. So stop giving them the money, stop buying the merch, stop buying the tickets, take the money out of their pockets. When the season starts next year, if you've got such a big problem with it, make sure Old Trafford's empty.
Yeah.
That's the issue, though, isn't it? For the majority, for the fans closer to Manchester that will do that, you'll have some maybe that aren't as informed on the situation who will carry on doing it just because it's Manchester United.
Correct.
So that you're never going to be able to cut off the revenue streams. I just think these United fans who've done these protests, they've tried everything else. I mean, they've bloody set up a Phoenix club, for Christ's sake. It hasn't worked. I think it's just frustrations have boiled over. Was it done in the right way? For the large majority, yeah. They had nothing else they could do. They've tried everything else and decided to protest. They got the game called off. That was what they wanted to do. Just a couple of knobheads who stayed right till the end because all they wanted was a scrap. And that's tarnished what was, in large part, a great protest.
Yeah,
I'm just happy that I didn't have to see a 50% Reece fit Nat Phillips trying to defend, because he's not quick normally, so 50% wouldn't have been great.
No, I hear that, and I suppose with it being rearranged, the advantage is Klopp is going to have a lot more time than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to prepare his team for a huge game. But Liam, what about you? What do you make of what we saw on Sunday?
Well, I do respect, the majority of United fans there who went to protest. They're doing it because they love their club, and the majority of them, like Tom said, did it in a respectful and, peaceful way, kind of. But the amount of people that were there, 3,000 maybe, the odds are you're always going to get quite a few idiots out of that who will ruin it for everyone else and will take it too far and cross the line. And that's what caused the game to get called off. And to get a game of that magnitude called off shows that there were genuine problems with safety in terms of the Man United Liverpool game. Millions of people watching it all around the world, broadcasters, everything, to cancel a game on that short notice shows that safety was compromised, and they were probably right to do it. And the fact that a lot of them weren't even at the stadiums, they were at the hotels of the teams as well. And you have to take into account the safety of the Liverpool players because, I doubt the United fans would have, harmed their own team coach and stuff, whilst driving through Manchester. But there would have been some idiots who, when the Liverpool bus is travelling through Manchester, they would have done some stupid things. They would have taken it too far. So the safety of the players and the team had to be the most important thing. And yeah, I did think the game was actually going to go ahead on the same day, but obviously, it didn't, and we go to next Thursday now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they called it off because of coronavirus.
It was all the COVID drugs.
Yeah,
it was where you let the fans out. They let the fans out where the dressing rooms are. So a couple of them went into the dressing rooms, and it compromised all these COVID bubbles and shit. So
yeah, which with coronavirus, the last thing you want to do, and we all know. I mean, we've all been stuck inside because of it. We all know the dangers that coronavirus has, and the last thing we want to do is put the players at risk for them to then put their families at risk. It had to get called off, and I suppose it was a huge statement. But Reese, what did you make of it, and do you think having it rearranged is going to have any impact on the players at all?
I agreed with what they did in terms of they didn't really have anything else to do. Obviously, there was some idiots that went too far and hurt policemen and broke stuff, and broke individual workers like cameras or freelancers cameras or whatever, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they got their message across. To get the biggest game in English football cancelled, you have to do some sort of big thing. And so I respect him, because how else the owner's going to get any sort of message across to him? Even though we saw what was it, Sky posting the reporter trying to get hold of one of the Glazers the other day, and he's just not listening to questions. So I agree with what they did, to be fair, but I don't know what rearranging it is really going to do, because I've seen on social media it seems like United fans are just going to do it again. And if it's even on anywhere near the same sort of scale, then I can't see the game going ahead, to be honest, because if they're at the hotel again, which I did think that was wrong, because what the players what the players done, it's nothing to do with them, is it? At the end of the day, you're just kind of not necessarily putting them at risk, because other than COVID, obviously, because they're not really going to hurt the players. There's plenty of police there anyway, but it's not going to do anything good to the players, is it? Being around the hotel. But yeah, I think for the majority at the stadium, I think they did a good job. And getting the game called off, at least from a United point of view, was what they tried to do, and I can only kind of commend it in a way, because they did what they wanted to do, and that's the only way that they could get any sort of message across. Otherwise, the Glazers just aren't going to listen.
Yeah, I mean, to get the Northwest Derby called off is unheard of. I don't think I've ever heard of it, especially for the security
on that short notice as well.
Yeah,
exactly, and it raises, as someone said, a lot of issues within the security of United, and they're going to probably be held responsible for that by the FA, the Premier League. I'm sure there's already a sort of letter directed to United from Sky going, "We had you on Super Sunday at primetime viewing. We'll have some compo for that," because Sky were also affected by it as well. Jacob saying, hello, Reese. Big up to Velshwan in the chat. Velshwan also saying Rashford was lucky that game was called off. Kabak would have pocketed him. but he wouldn't pocket Greenwood. Velva's lamp. We have no Greenwood slander here. I'm literally just Greenwood FC. I'm an Argyle fan, so I can be Greenwood FC and not cause any problems. Dom saying hello to the Liverpool brothers. Winter Surfer, new Liverpool show, new Liverpool panel now. Big up to my guy Rayan. Am I saying that name? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Excellent. Big up to Velv and Winter Surfer. Dom saying, oh, the Liverpool talking about United, this is glorious. Well, it sort of was them that were affected in that game as well. You can have your chance to talk about it on the United show. Mr. Potter saying an interesting one that I'm not sure I think anyone agrees with. Klopp should be sacked, not getting European football after winning the Prem last season. One of the worst title defences ever in Premier League history.
I'm not surprised when the 3 senior centre-backs you go into the season would get injured by January. So you've got no centre-backs who are fit for the system. Then your 2 makeshift centre-backs who are your best midfielders and then go and get injured. It's not surprising, really. And on the worst title defence, I swear Chelsea finished like 9th or 10th after winning theirs.
Yeah, Chelsea were awful in, what was it, 15-16, I think? And then they won the title the next season, so...
Big man, Eden Hazard going 356 days without a goal, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
even taking into account, like, it's one bad season, like, the amount Klopp's done for this club, he deserves one bad season. Like, he doesn't deserve... He's got too much credit in the bank. He can't be sacked after one bad season. He's won the Champions League, Premier League. You know, he achieved so much success as Liverpool. He can't get sacked.
Didn't he go unbeaten for like 64...
nearly 4 years at home, 3.5, 4 years at home in the league.
Yeah, I think it was
second
best, wasn't it, after Chelsea's record, which was just never going to be beaten. I think it was second after that.
I think the maddest one for me, he's had 2 or 3 consecutive. He's like had 2 or 3 runs of 18 consecutive league wins. Do you know how mad that is? 3 different times of having 18 league wins.
Yeah, last year it was only that draw against United away that screwed us. I think we won 17, drew to United, and then won 18. I think.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but
absolutely ridiculous.
He'll never get sacked. He'll go of his own accord. If these owners were to sack him, it'd be a bloody crime. They'd never get out of bloody.
Yeah, if people think FSG out is bad now, then if they sacked Klopp and we weren't even anywhere near the relegation zone and they sacked Klopp, then
he's never getting sacked. But there are questions to answer about some of the performances.
100%, there's questions to answer. You know, I do question why, with this much worse defence, we've persisted with this high line, because you can only really run a high line if you've got experienced defenders who know how it works, how to press up perfectly, who are confident making the call out to step up. Running that with Nat Phillips and Kabak is a bit questionable. What's more than a bit questionable? It's very dodgy. Yeah. You know, I did expose us a couple of times this season, especially against Leicester. But
if you don't have the high back line, you can't get sent into the game that you want, how you want to get them into the game, and they both become orthodox fullback. And they might as well not be there if that's the way you're going to play them. So he likes to take risks. He likes the fullbacks to take risks. But those risks have cost us big time, especially like...
I think as well, he struggled this season with finding the right, not the DM, but the right duo midfield partnership who are in front of the DM, because their main job isn't to bomb on. Their main job is to cover for the fullbacks.
And to win the ball back, yeah.
Thiago, I love him. He's not that. That's not his job. He can't do that very well.
No.
Yeah, I think Thiago was definitely brought in for the change of system, and then we got so many injuries. It's just impossible to change the system. We've just gone back to a style that doesn't really suit him. So
I'm not sure why we signed him.
I have to be honest.
I know why we signed him. I know why we signed him. We just haven't been able to. He's had one game where his role's been utilised, and it was Everton this season. That's it. Because every other setup,
was injured,
we haven't had the
brilliant when he came on against Chelsea, and that's
we
when
haven't had the personnel around him to properly facilitate him.
I definitely think Thiago was brought in to try and, in the big games, maybe try and adjust to a 4-2-3-1, or at least give us that option. because obviously he
I
did
can't
that
have 4-2-3-1,
pivot job so
mate.
well at. Sorry, what was that?
I hate it when we play 4-2-3-1 personally.
I hate it too.
I don't think that was it.
I hate it if
It worked
Firmino's at
in
the 10.
18-19, didn't it? We got obviously
that's when Shaqiri's at the 10 because he thrives with
Yeah,
them
but then Klopp
little
changed
balls
it mid-season.
and then he lost trust in him. He lost trust in Shaqiri for some reason. Like we were on such a
I
good
don't really
run
understand
and
the
then he
whole
lost
thing
trust.
about Shaqiri because he's just a good little option to have off the bench if needed, but he's barely even featured.
It's his tracking back, I think. I saw an article in The Athletic about it a while ago. He doesn't like the fact that he doesn't track back as much as the other attackers like Firmino and Salah and Mane. Shaqiri doesn't have that work rate. Shaqiri's very much in this Liverpool team a luxury player. He's someone who you bring on when you need a goal or when you're 2 or 3 up and you don't need to focus on having that outright defending. But with Thiago, I think next season, if he has Henderson, it sounds stupid that we've got to have all these players around him, but it's how you get the best out of him. You know, you need Henderson to the right of him.
I mean, at Bayern Munich, he had Kimmich, Goretzka, and these guys in midfield.
Boateng was an established centre-back, Alaba,
it's world-class players around him.
That's what you'd expect him to do next year, because if you look at what he did in Bayern, he almost played in Fabinho's role, and he's not going to take Fabinho's role off him.
I don't expect him to do that. What I expect of him next year is simply to... Well, we've struggled against low blocks this season. I think that's a very clear issue. I think if he's got that midfield coverage next to him who will do the dirty work, when he gets on the ball, he's then going to have the time to not get the assists, but to break through them low blocks and create easy chances for the attackers.
He's very good at breaking the lines with his passing. He's very good at that. He was always good at that at Bayern Munich. So, I don't know. I think, like you said, he's not been great, but he hasn't come into the most ideal situation where he started the season, got injured for 3 months, comes back into a struggling team with injuries where, you're having to put Fabinho, Henderson in defence and then, take them away from midfield. And I mean, he should be doing better, Thiago, but he's hardly coming into... It's his first season as well in a very high intensity league. And, he's not come to the most ideal situation.
Bayern Munich didn't play a system we play. Our system was very taxing on a player.
Yeah.
He had a lot of coverage when he was at Bayern. Kimmich and Goretzka would do all the running for him, and he was there to just play them nice passes. Now, this season, with the midfield as is, with Wijnaldum not performing to a level that we expect of him in terms of what we've seen of him beforehand, Thiago's had to do a bit more defending, and that's not his strong suit. The stats prove it. I think at Bayern he was making at Bayern he was making like 1 tackle a game. At Liverpool, he's averaging 3.5 per game.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot more dirty work, and when he's got Fabinho at the 6, you see a much better Thiago. He is a luxury player.
Our record with Fabinho in midfield is
he ran the pitch against.
We don't really lose with him in midfield.
Spurs and Leipzig second leg. He was everywhere.
Brilliant there.
But I think he's a luxury player like Shaqiri is now. But this Liverpool team needs them luxury players for the teams that are hard to break down.
Yeah, we can't just stick with workhorses 24/7.
I don't think we're ever going to adapt past that workhorse midfield. I think, in a sense, with the way this system works, with the creativity from the fullbacks, Trent and Robertson getting all them assists, we need them workhorse midfielders in the middle. But for them games where Trent and Robertson just aren't getting going, aren't firing, the crosses aren't getting there, they're not creating enough, and then you can bring in a Thiago, you can bring in a Shaqiri, that's what you need them for. And that's what I'm hoping we'll see a bit more of next season when we've got a fully fit squad. But there's 100% questions to be asked about certain decisions this season. And he can't get away with... I love him, he can't get away with some of the decisions he's made this season. I mean, I don't get what Ben Davies has done. What was the point of him?
I don't think
I forgot who he was.
Ben Davies has got the same problem as Shaqiri. He doesn't understand the system.
But sure, I agree. He probably doesn't understand the system. Cheers, Dom. He doesn't understand the system. But with that, you have to take the risk. Moving Fabinho back to centre back probably cost us a hell of a lot more than having Ben Davies there.
I agree. Should have played centre back positions. But if one thing we've learned about Klopp is he's quite stubborn. and that is his detriment. We would have been better playing a strong midfield and controlling and commanding games and taking the pressure off the back four, rather than playing a midfield that couldn't cope with the physical side of our system, which fell apart anyway with all those defenders, and then sticking your strongest midfielders in your defence. It just didn't work. And you look back on it, it's insane to think that you can get away with that. You just can't do it.
I still struggle to understand how we thought Curtis Jones and Thiago were going to run midfields, because they're very nice players, but when it gets to the physical stuff, they're not going to win it. Yeah, go ahead.
Newcastle have gone 1-0 up at Leicester.
Have they? Wow. Newcastle have got a bit of confidence at the moment.
Yeah, Newcastle have gone 1-0 up at Leicester.
Joe Willock again, yeah.
Who was it?
Joe Willock.
Joe.
We don't like Joe Willock around here. We don't like Joe Willock.
It's the one player that Arsenal decided to let go on loan, and he seems to be doing better than their entire club. Welcome to team Rack as well.
Arsenal are a mess though.
What do we make of Elf's comment here? We need Boubacar. I'm very bad with these. That's the one. I'm very bad with these names. I butcher them all the time. But what do you make of him as a backup DM?
With the way this club runs, we'll never get him. These owners put a lot of faith in Klopp, unearthing these gems like Robertson, like Wijnaldum, like Trent, like Salah, like Mane, and Boubacar Kamara's got a bit of a reputation around Europe, and I think for that reason he won't come in. We'll probably look at someone from a bit of a smaller club if we want a backup DM. But I think we might have the same situation as we had this season, where we'll sit there and we'll go, we've lost Wijnaldum, but Henderson can fill in there. Milner could probably do a job there. Thiago can fill in there. But that's not what the best clubs do. The best clubs have quality backups who fill in the roles perfectly. If we lose Fabinho and Henderson has to fill in back there, our midfield on an attacking front is a hell of a lot worse. So I just like these owners to finally treat us like the big club that we are, and not this team they first took over that was 7th place. That's my issue with them. I feel like they haven't adapted.
So Boubacar Kamara, he might be a good shout, because one of the things we do value though is versatility. So he's got experience of playing at centre back as well. So if you've got a player that can cover more than one position, that's been something, that tactical flexibility and the fact that's another way of kind of covering a couple of positions with one player gives is a positive in that sense.
There's always a risk of getting players from France as well, isn't there? To be fair, there's always been that sort of thing from French leagues that players don't necessarily transfer over. So maybe it will probably cost quite a bit of money as well. So I don't think there's a chance FSG go for that.
The thing with France is the clubs in France are really in a bad way financially at the moment. Yeah. Their TV deal collapsed.
They had a TV deal that collapsed. I think it was like 500 million, and it just died because they didn't have the money. Yeah. There was talk of the French league folding because they just couldn't afford it. So I think they're in a situation where they very much need to sell to try and get a little bit of financial stability. But I just think I've not heard anything about them from certain sources about us being interested in him. Would he be a good sign? Yeah, because we need a quality DM backup who can also fill in elsewhere. But I don't think we'll go in for him. I think we've got eyes on elsewhere. Do I know what elsewhere is? No, but I just don't think Boubacar Kamara is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I haven't seen any links with him, to be fair.
It's silly season, so you're linked with almost everyone up and down Europe at the moment. I swear I've heard Mbappe, Sancho. You hear them all.
The same day you're hearing links with Mbappe, you're seeing links with Niall Marlin and Ollie Watkins. That's the state we're in at the minute.
It's the same with all the clubs. I mean, United have the same, Liverpool have the same. It's because they know that they're the big fan bases, so they do a lot of clickbait because they know Liverpool fans are going to. If they see Liverpool linked with this player, all your fans go, right, let's have a look at that. It's just a way of getting their views up. But Steve, what do you make of I still can't say his name, Kamara? Do you think it'd be a good one to get?
No, I think there's probably about 70 players doing the rounds on Twitter that Liverpool are going to sign at the moment, which is typical for this time of year. I think Liverpool know who they're going to sign, know who the targets are, know who they want. That's what they do. They do their work early. I don't think it's going to be a situation where suddenly a name comes out of the blue. I mean, look at Fabinho. Everyone was talking about we're going to sign this player and sign that player.
Oh, that was brilliant. That.
Next thing, exactly. Next thing, he's leaning on the wall with his Liverpool shirt on.
You see, I think it was James Pearce who first said Liverpool are interested, and an hour and a half later, he's in a Liverpool shirt.
Exactly.
Like that, that's how we like to do our deals now. I don't think this constant linking thing of they might go in for this player, but they might not. That I think we've got our transfer strategy for the summer set out. I just hope it's a big one, because the least they owe Klopp is a big transfer window to allow him to start the rebuild. We're not going to get one.
It's COVID. COVID's still a COVID window.
That's the issue.
They'll draw back because it's a COVID window.
I think we were gambling on the Super League money, to be honest. I think we'll have
to some degree, yeah, maybe. And then you look at what people are saying on Twitter. I want 12 players to leave the club. That's an absolute joke.
That's not going to happen.
You're looking at the 3 people I can see leaving the club for sure. Ronaldo will go because we're going to do his deal. Origi will go because his time's up at Liverpool. Thanks very much for what you did, but go and enjoy yourself. And Shaq wants to play football, so with respect, Shaq, thanks for what you've done. You know, in bit part, but go and play football somewhere else because you deserve that. And then the likes of Nat Phillips might move on, Harry Wilson might move on.
I think we'll probably see an Ox or a Kaiser maybe looked at moving on. They might not go, but there'll be looks at them going, because I think we've just got an abundance of midfield. They all want game time, and we just can't afford it. I think Curtis Jones is going to get a bigger role next season. I'm happy for him to get that. Yeah. So that pushes Ox and Kaiser down the pecking order.
I see Curtis being the Gini replacement, to be honest.
Say again?
I see Curtis being more of the Gini replacement rather than.
No, I'd hope he wouldn't be.
I know they're not the same player, but I can see that happening because FSG are cheapskates at the end of the day, and if they can get a bargain or try and avoid spending money somewhere, then it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they do.
That's the issue with losing mine out.
They'll avoid spending money. They'll look for value in the market, which there should be. To be fair, there's plenty of clubs that are in worse financial positions than us, and there will be players available for relatively modest fees. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad move. We can find good players for a decent value. Makes sense.
You look at Twitter. Twitter looks at who's got team of the week on FIFA, and so that's Liverpool.
Twitter judges players off FIFA ratings.
What Liverpool do is they run analytics. It's all done through statistics. So there'll be 5 or 6 players that make similar runs to Gini, don't get injured, can recover quickly, what ground they cover during the game, what their intelligence is, how they press, all of that stuff. The story is when Mo Salah was offered to the club or we became interested in the club, it wasn't Klopp that identified him. It was
Michael Edwards.
It was his team, his staff who said, this guy will do all the things you want to do in your system. And then they bought him. So they'll be looking at players that you and I have not even considered in terms of what they do on the pitch. And that's why FSG love Klopp, because you can do that without spending, astronomical amounts of money. We're never going to do a Chelsea and spend £230 million in a transfer window. It just won't happen.
Yeah, but
that's the thing.
Remember Salah was also
FSG
in 2013. We were interested in Salah in 2013 when Suarez was around. So our interest in when he went to Chelsea, So our interest in Salah has been long-standing before he even arrived.
Konoplyanka was the other one that summer as well. But that shows just the difference between then and now. Like, I remember the Konoplyanka deal dragged on, and we hadn't hit anything.
It was about to get done on deadline day, then it fell through, I remember.
I think on the last day, on deadline day, January, we sent Ian Eyre over to Ukraine or wherever he was and said, go and find them, go and get it done. And he went there and you told them, you've spent too long, fuck off, we're selling them to Sevilla next summer. That's the difference between then and now. The club's run better now, but there's so much room for us to grow. That's what gripes me about FSG. They run the club like a top 4 club, top 2 club in some ways, but then they also run as like a club challenging for mid-table, maybe Europa League in other ways. And I think this FSG situation at the minute, my opinion's very clear. I've told you now. I want them out. I think they've done too many things, and they've been forgiven too many times. You know, the ticket scandal, they're trying to copyright the word Liverpool. That was trying to run local vendors out of place. I love having chats with the local vendors around there. They're brilliant. You know, what was the other one? Furloughing staff, and then going back on it and apologising, and they kept getting away with it. I don't know who's better to have, because if I did, I'd be telling you. But I think they've done too much to be forgiven as easily as they've been forgiven in the past. That's my issue at the minute.
And why they get forgiven is to get to Liverpool from £300 million, what they paid for us, to £2.5 billion, which is 800% profit. If you're them, we've benefited from the ground improvements. We've benefited from buying certain players that were better than the ones we had, and obviously we've got the new training complex. So in order to get 300 million,
Newcastle, you know,
the development of the club, we benefited from that to some degree.
2-0 Newcastle.
I just don't agree with the narrative that some people like to throw of FSG saved us, because while in a sense they did, they were the ones that offered first. There were multiple other people who were interested in the club because it was a massive. You were going to make so much money on it.
The other party that offered was Peter Lim, who's taken over Valencia and Salford, and basically fucked Valencia up. So it's not.
There was a couple of Saudi princes.
There needs to be a bit of balance between.
But you know that with FSG,
I don't necessarily think they're the best, but at the same time, they're probably better than the vast majority of owners in the Premier League. Which club would swap FSG? Wouldn't swap FSG for their current owners? Probably only Chelsea and Man City fans. Maybe Leicester. That's about it.
I think there's a. I have respect for what FSG have done, but as someone who has experienced some of the issues that they caused firsthand to a lot of people I know, I just think this is too far now. You know, they're trying to cover up for it by having fans on the board meetings. That should have been done a long time ago after the ticket scandal one. You know, it's that thing right now. But then be the revolutionaries.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, but if no other club's really doing it, like Argyle didn't get fans sort of impacted on the board until we went into administration and started kicking up a fuss and making some noise, and then they were like,
Niall, mate,
"Oh,
I
please
go now."
Yeah, just for coming on though. But where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, cheers for having me on. Yeah, you can find me on Sarcasm City TV on like the Q&As that we do twice a week, watch-alongs. I'm planning out my own Liverpool show on there by the end of June, so that should be good. And you can find me on Bits and Bob Thursday night. Me and Steve are on that show, so yeah, that's where you can find me. You can find me at Twitter at Ryan_K1.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers for coming on, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. But yeah, as I said, we didn't get supporters on our board until we went into administration and kicking off, and that's with football. A lot of these owners are reactionary. Like owners, they tend to be more reactionary than sort of proactive, especially in football. So it doesn't surprise me that no club really took that on. Gini, I think you've got a TV on, mate.
He smashed it. He does this every time. There he goes.
He said don't add him in. God knows what Gini's doing at the moment. But yeah, no, I do hear that. Some comments here, if I can find them. Potter saying owners in this game are ruthless and don't take history into account. They look at recent performances and will sack whenever they want. Don't be shocked if Klopp goes this summer. Well, that's the thing. Like
they'd never sack him. No, you've got to understand they're on thin ice with these fans as is. That's like he, in a weird sense, he's like a Jesus to us. What he's done for this club is ridiculous for us. We have so much respect. If they were to go and sack him,
That's
even
impossible.
even their biggest supporters would turn on them.
It's
They
impossible.
can't do that.
Yeah, you can't get better than Klopp as it stands, and for a long time, I don't think so.
To be fair, I also think they know
Actually
that.
happen.
I think they know that.
Yeah.
That would, because the one thing that's universal, I think, amongst Liverpool fans is our love for Klopp. Because Klopp represents everything that's good about Liverpool Football Club. Since he's come in, he's got the club from day one, and
He's a foreign scout, isn't he?
Yeah,
That's what he is.
We're a passionate bunch, right?
He just gets the club.
That more than anybody else, so it would be.
There's only one manager that could deliver Klopp's delivered on the budget that he was given by FSG. And when I say budget, you got to remember the Van Dijk and the Alisson signings came from salary player. There's no other manager in world football that could deliver what he's delivered without banging on the door asking for money. He knows that, and FSG know that. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. You'd be mad to sack Klopp anyway. Like,
I think the owners appreciate everything. They hit the jackpot with him because
of course they did. No, Klopp is an elite manager. Klopp is probably, arguably, the greatest or the second greatest manager at the moment. Now, I mean, no one beats Fergie, but that's for obvious reasons. He achieved so much, but in this current day, I'm in an R in between who's better between Pep and Klopp. That's the difference.
You can make arguments for the both of them, can you?
And that's what I mean.
Pep's won it all, but Klopp's done it with worse circumstances.
Yeah, and
I think if you were to ask any lower end club who they'd want, any lower end club would want Klopp because he's proven he can build a team up. If you were a top end club, Pep can take a top end club to the next level.
That's what I mean by you just don't know which one's better because they're both very different, but they're all both very elite. There's definitely no one on par with either of them at the moment. Tuchel, maybe in a couple of years' time, could be on there, but he has to prove himself at Chelsea first. Klopp and Pep both they've proved themselves at the Premier League. They've proved themselves in the hardest league. Arguably, you could say Klopp's done it harder because he's been at Liverpool without the financial backing that City's got. But just because you have money and you buy all these players don't necessarily mean you're going to win stuff. Shall we look at Manchester United? They've spent more than City and have still not done what they need to. Like they've not won a title. So you can spend all the money you want. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do well. That's the thing. So I don't think Klopp's getting sacked. Valve, I have sent you a link if you want to do one of them on. Dom saying, can tell Tom is stressed about Arsenal because of yesterday. Can't stop nibbling them nails.
What about Arsenal? I'm happy they're gone.
I don't know. Maybe he thinks you're an undercover Arsenal fan. I mean, that would be embarrassing, but it's okay. I've got my show with them on Tuesday.
Why would I be an undercover fan of a club that's worse?
I don't know, Tom, but that's football, isn't it? But I've got my show with them on Tuesday. They avoided the match reaction. They can't avoid me forever. That's for sure. I will be having a nice little chat with them about that and about them not even getting European football. But obviously, most of you have probably seen the title, which is Klopp saying he's not confident of getting top four. Now, I don't know if that's just Klopp trying to, deflect the pressure away and just go, look, I know we're not going to get top four. Or do you think that Klopp's being serious and he's like, yeah, we're not getting top four? We're not getting
he always tries to play these things down, doesn't he? But I think he's also being realistic and not trying to get fans' hopes up and some of that as well.
We're not going to get it. Chelsea would have to lose something like 3 out of the last 5 games. We'd have to win them all to overhaul Chelsea. That's not going to happen. And I know Newcastle apparently are doing us a bit of a favour with Leicester, but the gap between us and Leicester is worse than the gap between us and Chelsea. So the reality is Champions League football isn't coming to Liverpool, but it won't have an impact on what we're trying to do in the transfer window because anyone who's got half a brain knows what Liverpool have been through this season, knows the situation, knows it's like a one-off madness that never happened again. And we will be back challenging. We will be back as
I don't know, Steve. As it stands, if Leicester lose this game, we have 2 games in hand on them and 9 points off them. We could get within 3 points when we play our games in hand, there's still a chance. I just think he's not trying to make it an expectation. He's trying to make it a if we get it, well done. But it's just a bit annoying considering
he'll definitely be telling the players that we've got every chance, but he's trying to tell the fans just to sort of not get our hopes up or anything like that.
Don't expect it.
100%.
He can take one game at a time, man. So the players won't even be thinking about the end of the season. They'll be thinking about the next fixture, which is why the fact that we didn't play against United will have no bearing going into the next game, because that's been done with, that's gone, that's finished. And then they look to the next fixture and prepare for Southampton. So I don't think there's a hang up of that. But West Ham are also doing good things as well. So it's not just Chelsea and Leicester. There's other people too that we need to be careful
There's
of.
a lot of variables.
The Man United game is massive. Get a result against the Man United. It gives the team a lift for the rest of the season, because that's where you get your momentum winning games against people like that. And the momentum is something we haven't had since before Christmas.
I think that the thing is that in a similar way to last season, where City would just drop points in random games, I knew we would win the league when you saw City drop points like Newcastle in the last minute and stuff like that. And just because at that stage we were like a machine, we would win every game, and you couldn't trust City to get a result. Right now, you can't trust us to get a result. And even if Chelsea drop points, are we going to go, perfect 15 out of 15 points for the rest of the season?
Yeah, there's been plenty of weeks where everyone around us has dropped points, and then we've gone and done it as well. So we just don't rely on everyone else pretty much. We just focus on ourselves, and if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then we can't really expect or feel sorry for ourselves, because we've deserved it. To be fair, we've been poor all season.
Like last season we'd win games we didn't deserve to win. This season we're drawing or losing games we deserve to win. That's the difference. With the
element.
Team now, we were top at Christmas, and then it all just we had like the guarantee of Matip coming back, and then he got injured inside the first 45 minutes of his return. And I think that just killed us.
I think
we had no recognised centre backs.
Yeah,
I think it was Burnley that did it. I think
I don't know, because
because there's that confidence. No. There's that confidence. You going into Anfield, you're looking around. You're like, yeah, we haven't lost here. Why? Well, you have that confidence. Then Burnley. Not only did Burnley beat you, you had Origi doing crossbar challenge in the middle of a huge Premier League game that you didn't end up winning.
Cheers.
And then obviously you had that questionable penalty given to Burnley. So I think it was at that point Liverpool then started to go, oh, we can be beaten at Anfield. And then you just went on that spiral of bad results at Anfield, which then takes away that confidence the players have.
At that point when we went down to Burnley, it was the first time I'd sat there and went, based off what I've seen this season, we're not actually going to get a goal. We're not going to score. We're going to lose this game. I haven't thought that for a long time with this club, but I think it had been a build-up, and I think losing Matip was like the final nail in the coffin. We had him guaranteed. He's someone who knew the system. He's a great ball-playing defender. He's not quick, but he knows how to read the game. He doesn't really get dragged into pace races. And losing him inside 45 minutes and then being out for the season killed us. Obviously, fingers will be pointing to FSG for the replacements. I think Ozan Kabak's been all right. Ben Davis might as well have not signed him, but whatever. But then the questions are, why have you only given the best manager in Liverpool's Premier League era $2.5 million to spend the first time he's ever needed it?
I actually think, believe it or not, that could be smart. Because instead, look, with the way your season had gone, you weren't going to win anything. You weren't even going to really be challenging for much. So what's the point of rushing out, going to buy an expensive centre-back that could flop, instead of just getting a couple of replacements that is going to cost very little money, saving that money, doing it the Klopp way, which is looking out for players, looking into players, their background, actually researching, instead of rushing around trying to figure out a replacement. Why not just do that in the summer where you have that time?
It's difficult to say, right? Because at the same time, if we would have had a top class centre back, maybe we would have been in top four, and then you have potentially an extra 50, 60, 70, 80 million
Champions
pounds.
Leagues as well. We
No,
could have still been in the
top of the
Champions League.
League qualification, exactly.
We were top of the league in
So-
January. If we got a centre back, I don't know, we'd probably be in the title race right now.
You know, my issue is these owners, in my eyes, I may be wrong, I'm happy to have you count me. These owners rely too heavily on the Klopp way, and eventually the Klopp way will hit a dud. It will hit one where it doesn't work, because that's just the nature of this thing. You'll have three winners, and then you'll hit a loser.
Yeah, but that's the same with any way of doing transfers, right?
But that's the difference, though. What other big club decides to rely on people with that same reliance?
Yeah, but this way's what?
But there's not. But it's not going to continue working. And if we hit a dud at a crucial point, it sets us back years.
Why can't this way continue to work?
In terms of the solution, the solution is just what gives him more money to spend. I don't necessarily think that's the case either.
And
that hasn't got us to where it is. And if you look at, I mean, you know, there's a lot. FSG have done a lot wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong, but it's not just about Klopp, because they put a whole structure in place. You know, our whole recruitment team is completely different, and the way we recruit is completely different. Our analytics team is basically unparalleled throughout world football, like Steve was talking about. We've got the two guys that we brought in from Man City, who've basically turned out to be, you know, brilliant for us in terms of recruitment. So we're right up there in terms of recruitment. And that's why I always think money is one thing. That's one way to do it, but you can also bridge that gap by being the smartest.
But I think Klopp deserves his owners to buy him some world class players that he doesn't have to spend time developing. Because this team right now.
Here's the thing. Wait, can I add something? I feel like FSG are looking for a rebuild. Like, they're not going to be adding to what we won with the trophies. I think they're looking for a rebuild. They're like, all right, this team, we'll rebuild a team, let it run for 3 or 4 years, and if it doesn't work, rebuild another team. They're not going to get like any world-class players after we win a trophy. They'll look for a rebuild.
They're not going to give you money to rebuild. They're not going to put their hand in their pocket for a rebuild. I agree with the being smart over spending money. If you said to Klopp tomorrow, there's £500 million to spend, he probably wouldn't thank you for it. He knows what he wants. He wants players that are going to be. He doesn't want egos. He wants players who come in and do what the system requires to do. So, you know, someone like a Bruno Fernandes is probably the least likely player that Klopp would ever sign because of who and what he is. And Paul Pogba's the same. They're not Klopp-type players. Look at Dortmund. Look at the players Ed Smeltzers, the Piszczek, the Bladikowski at right midfield, all Nuri Sahin and all of those guys. Where, you know, and Hummels, for instance, no one had even heard of Hummels when Klopp signed him.
Lewandowski came from
exactly, and he nearly signed for Blackburn, but for a volcanic ash cloud, you know, cloud in the sky. And look what he's gone on to be. So I don't think Klopp would thank you for giving him £500 million to spend in the summer. It presents its own problems. We have it done because we signed Naby Keita, and we've been waiting 3 years for that guy to turn into the player that was at Leipzig. And the reality is he's not going to. So I think in the summer, if someone comes in with 25, 30 million quid, that's a player that the club got to listen to offers for.
Yeah. And his agent spouting off the other day on Twitter didn't help the situation either.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, why move from a system in terms of dealing with transfers that isn't broken? Like you've currently got a manager who can unearth these gems and can get them to fit into a system. What on earth is the point of splashing money all over the place? Because guess what?
This team's in its prime. This team is now entering its prime. All our best players, all our key players are entering their prime years, 28, 29, 30. They should not, in my eyes, they should not be spending their time.
Okay, so my argument to you, though, is if you want money spent on this team, but Klopp doesn't want it done that way, what do you do? So
how do we know that Klopp doesn't want it that way?
I'm asking you a question.
We don't know either.
Do you think if you were to give Klopp a Koulibaly and a centre-back worth 20 million, who's not as good now but has the potential to reach that level, what one do you think he's taking?
Well, I don't know, because I'm not Jurgen Klopp, but
he's taking Koulibaly because Jurgen Klopp isn't here to rebuild this team. Jurgen Klopp's here to have the prime years of this squad set the foundations for a rebuild and go at 2024.
Unless you're Jurgen Klopp in disguise, how do you know that?
No. Also,
because why would Jurgen Klopp do all the hard rebuild and stuff to not get any rewards out of it?
Because he said, just like he said the other day, he feels very deeply about the club, and so he's going to do the right thing for the club in the long run. Jurgen Klopp isn't here for short term gain. What he says, I believe, he's here for. He loves the club and he wants to do everything that's right in the best interest of the club in the long term.
The best interest of the club are to sign, in my eyes, anyway. The best interest of
the club is not to sign Kalidou Koulibaly.
No, not Koulibaly, but to sign one or two world-class players now.
Okay, so I'll put it to you this way.
Get the pioneers out of the squad.
Hold up.
So that's in my eyes what the best move is. Sign a couple of world-class players, get the best years out of the squad, sell off, and try again, because that's how this club runs itself.
The way I'm going to put it, right? Klopp is here until 2024. He's made that pretty clear in terms of Klopp ain't staying after the end of this contract. He signed a new contract. He's gone at the end of it. Credit to the man. He's come in, absolutely done wonders with Liverpool. So actually, right now, you need to start that rebuild process so that when Klopp comes to the end of that 2024 contract, this squad is ready to be competing again with a new manager. Because what you found with Klopp is you found a manager that can make a squad and can make a damn good squad. And if you get the perfect replacement in for Jurgen, that means you've had the most experienced manager at building this type of squad ready to hand that over so that Liverpool can have continued success for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
To do all the hard, because rebuilds are hard as a manager. Why should he have to do all the hard work of dealing with the shit from the media? Oh, you're not performing well. Look at where you were a couple of years ago.
Because he's literally come out and said he loves the club.
By the media. He's not one bit interested in what the media have got to say.
But he still shouldn't have, in my eyes, he still shouldn't have to deal with all that shit just for the next manager to come in and take all the praise for it.
He won't
be like that. Sorry, Niall, we won't be like that because we still speak about, God's sake, we speak about a manager who came into the club 50 years ago in Bill Shankly and made Liverpool the institution it is. Klopp wants to be remembered like those guys. So what he's done, he's taken a team of twice became second in the league. The reason why we didn't win the league is because we couldn't quite believe we were where we were. We couldn't believe we were competing at that high up the table, and we didn't have the knowledge how to win trophies. And when it came to it, when the business end of the season, we fell away. We lost games that we had no right to lose. What he's done,
and to be fair, City were also magnificent that season. Like they were 98 points.
Talking about the Crystal Palace game, for instance. But that's what Liverpool were doing at the time. Yeah. When we were 3-0 up and drew 3-3, and that cost us massively. Klopp's come in, he sat the whole club down. He did sit the whole club down and say, I'm going to build an unbreakable family. And if you don't want to be part of that, then there's the car park, off you go. He's building a legacy. His legacy will live on long after he's gone. So he's not interested in signing a 30-year-old centre-half who wants £180,000 a week when he can go by. Kanate has got injury problems and muscular injury problems, so they can be rehabilitated. They're not major issues in terms of his fitness. He's young enough and he's malleable enough to turn him into whatever we want to make him in terms of a centre back. And he's quite possibly got 10 years in front of him at the football club. That's long after Klopp's gone. So what he's trying to do is what Niall said before, which is absolutely spot on, mate. Build something so when he shakes hands with us and walks away and we're all in floods of tears and devastated because he's gone, the next man, whoever it is, comes in and you just carry on the legacy. And that's the continuity that we had all those years ago.
And it's not going to be a situation like Fergie had, where Fergie left and then the club basically disappeared for 5 years.
Because Fergie didn't do that rebuild, right? Everyone could see Fergie did exactly what you wanted, which is go by Robin van Persie, go win another trophy, and then go out on a high. What Fergie didn't do...
He could see what was going on at United. He knew it was all about to come crashing down around.
He also knew that he couldn't do a rebuild because there wasn't going to be the money to do the rebuild. But Jurgen's going to do it differently. Jurgen has probably seen what's happened to Fergie in United and have gone, nah, mate, that's not for me. That tarnishes me. Because people now do go, well, Fergie could have rebuilt that squad. Fergie does get a little bit of blame where United is right now. Jurgen don't want that, because Jurgen wants it that, yeah, you've had some lows. You've also had amazing highs. He wants to make it that when the new manager comes in, all they have to do is maybe tinker with 1 or 2 players. They need to get maybe 1 or 2 players to come in and do what they want to do. But I bet you the new manager will be very much like Jurgen Klopp in terms of how they want to play, how they want to do things. It will be very much a continuity, as Steve said, with obviously all the.
I completely get where you're coming from. This is just me personally. I think Jurgen Klopp, for everything he's done, deserves one last chance to have a world-class squad to challenge Man City for the title. Because I think for him to have spent what will be near 8 or 9 years at this club,
9 years,
for everything he's done, and only have 1 Premier League and 1 Champions League to show for it, will be disappointing, because he deserves so much more.
It's also a lot more than
in my eyes.
I'll get exactly
my eyes probably aren't the right way, but in my eyes, I think he deserves more than that.
I get what you're saying, and to some degree, I agree with you. I just don't think he wants it that way. I think when City did the treble and we won the Champions League and nobody spoke about City's treble, he's sitting in his office laughing because he's done it with an £8.5 million left back that got relegated. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. He wants to bring in players and make them into superstars. Aubameyang was never even heard of until he went to Dortmund. Lewandowski never heard of. Royce never heard of. Hummels never heard of. Andy Robertson's arguably the best left back in the world. He got relegated with Hull.
And I think part of the reason why Klopp is the manager, like it or not, I'm pretty sure this is the setup and the model that FSG have followed with Klopp as well. Like, I don't think if Klopp was really unhappy with how things are going in terms of the organisation of the club, I don't think Klopp would necessarily hesitate to walk away. But I think he buys into the fact that not only is a team on the field, but there's a team off the field, and everybody is working. Arguably, apart from this whole Super League fiasco, everybody is working in the best interest of Liverpool in the long term. So you have your analytics team, you've got Michael Edwards, and you've got all the structure that comes with them, with Mike Gordon and all those guys. They're all kind of pushing in the same direction. If Klopp felt that they weren't pushing in the same direction, I think things would change. But right now, I don't necessarily think there's any indication that that's the case.
And if you can go one step further, the Liverpool business model, with the exception of Manchester City, the Liverpool model that they run on by day is a blueprint for the rest of world football.
Yep.
I completely agree. Look at
I agree.
A perfect example for that is actually look what Ollie's trying to do at United. Believe it or not, Ollie is actually trying to sort of, in essence, copy Klopp.
I think you said right. I think I'm just looking at it from my deluded Klopp sense. I want him to go out on a high, winning all these league titles, all these Champions Leagues, because what he's done, he deserves that.
We all do. Right?
Everyone wants that, but I also believe that Klopp actually genuinely loves your club and wants to make sure that in 10 years' time, when he's watching the telly with a beer in his hand back in Germany, he can watch Liverpool and go, yeah,
you know what I hope, though? He probably won't do it, but you know what I hope? If he were to ask for £500 million this summer to buy certain players, I hope he'd at least get it from these owners as sort of a thing for everything he's done. No, not that much. But if he was to ask for a player, if he was to ask for like 200 million, say, I want this, this, and this, I hope the owners would go, you know what, we appreciate everything you've done, we back you. Here's the money, we trust you.
They may well do. But Reece, have
we got a quiz tonight?
You do have a quiz. I have got the quiz. We have got that as well. The picture quiz. You're currently 2 points behind United, and I've really.
Lad, I've started me drinking already. Gini's for this.
It's okay. So have I. I've got a beautiful San Miguel. But Reece, what do you make of the whole debate? Do you think that Jurgen should do it the other way, which is just go buy some 30-year-olds and hope for the best? Or do you think he should carry on the way he's been doing?
No, I think the way he's doing it is brilliantly, but obviously it would be nice. We don't get to see behind the scenes, so for all we know, the Klopp and FSG could be trying to sign some world-class players, and they could be trying to also bring in some young players. I think it's good to get that mixture of building for the future while also bringing in players that can bleed into the first team. Now, obviously, that's like Thiago was that sort of luxury big name player that was completely unheard of in terms of Liverpool signings, because we don't sign that caliber of player. You know, we bring in the 8 million Andy Robertson, we bring in the, or was it like 3.5 million for Joe Gomez in 2015, and look where he's come from Charlton at, what was it, like 17, 18 years of age at left back, and now he's arguably the second or third best centre back at our club, obviously joined with Joel Matip, and then Virgil van Dijk's up there. But it's good to get that mixture to build for the future while also getting the most out of the squad that we've got now, because a lot of our players are 28, 29, going on 30, and so we need to get the most out of that while also using the likes of Trent, Gomez, Kabak, who will hopefully come in on a permanent, and Konate, what are they both, like 20 years old?
Yeah,
I've heard Kabak being brought back permanently as well, which I think is wrong, but carry on, sorry.
Well, I think Kabak's actually done a really good job in terms of he's been partnered with obviously Nat Phillips and Fabinho. I think are the only two, maybe Henderson as well. So if he if he gets a chance next to Gomez, Matip, Van Dijk next season, which I'm sure he will at points, we'll really see what his sort of level is, and whether he can do it at the highest level. Like taking one step down into Europa League for a year could give that chance for maybe, if we don't loan out like Harvey Elliott, for example, give him the chance to really show what he can do on the big stage. Curtis Jones maybe getting more game time, and it will sort of really give the squad a more sort of well-roundedness that we've been trying to sort of bring in for the past like 1 or 2 years, trying to bring those young players into the first team. So then we've got that core group of players that can slowly be faded out as they get into their early 30s, and then just know that we've still got a good squad for the future.
I mean, we spoke before about people saying we're signing this player and signing that player, and shouldn't read too much into that. But there's a gathering sort of opinion on social media that they're not going to sign Kabak now. They're going to turn down the offer to take him on.
Yeah,
I think that's the wrong decision personally. I think what we'll be able to sell, in my eyes, I think we can get 20 million for Phillips purely off what he's done this season to like a Burnley or a Brighton or someone. Because of English tax and all that.
It's not as high as it's ever going to be this summer.
Exactly.
We need to sell Matip as well.
Ceiling is like up there. He's got all the potential in the world. He's not quick, but as a defender, that's ridiculous.
You're not going to get a 20-year-old centre back who's played at such a senior level and for so many years. Was it like 2-3 years he's been at
his debut was at
a top league side.
Yeah,
like for 18 million, you're not going to get really a better player for that.
Well, it's not 18 now, is it? It's 9. That's what they're saying as well.
Is that what it is? Oh, yeah. Right. Okay.
They don't want him back. He spat at somebody. They don't want him back. It's the same thing as El Hadj Diouf and us. We can't stand the bloke because of what he did.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there's an issue. Schalke don't want anything to do with him anymore. So the ball is in our court. For the sort of rumours that go around, and I'm kind of contradicting myself now by saying this, the rumours that go around that we're not going to take advantage of that. Apparently, when he came to us, they couldn't wait to get rid of him because he's a problem around the club. And I don't know whether we're starting to see that now. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that obviously Schalke have got money issues, so maybe they're just trying to flog him to us, or just trying to guarantee the sale, maybe.
Well, I don't want to send Kabak back to Schalke. You see what them man did to the players, fam? They were chasing them down the street. I don't want that to come back.
All I will say is if I see Jurgen Klopp sniffing around any Argyle player, I will be deeply angry and will not be happy with him. Because I know that if Jurgen Klopp's sniffing around one of our players, he's probably a bloody good one, and I'll be very angry. But yeah, I don't know why people message me whilst I'm trying to do a live. I don't multitask very well. It's not something that my head's ready for. Devon saying Mane and Salah will leave Champions League football. Well, to be fair, Mane's not really done much this season to justify even being allowed to leave because he's part of the problem. And Salah, well, yeah, Salah may want to leave and may well leave.
Salah, I think he wants a new contract more than anything.
Yeah, he wants a new contract.
you need to have a fair amount of money to buy either of those players, and the only option for Salah I can think is if Mbappe leaves, perhaps PSG might be interested in reinvesting some of that money.
Yeah, that was what I saw. Like if they do let Mbappe go for what would it be like 200+ million or whatever it is, depending on his contract, Salah would be the #1 top target. But I don't even see why would he drop down to the French league. It's nowhere near as much of a competitive league as
the thing with Salah
the Premier League, is it?
Salah's won the Champions League. He's won the English Premier League. What Salah is really ambassadorial in Egypt. So he spends a lot of his money redeveloping rundown areas of Egypt. It's really nice to see what he does. Don't be fooled by the current financial position that Real Madrid find themselves in, because they will find money from somewhere, because they always have. If they offered him $350,000 a week to go and play there, he's achieved all of the things that Liverpool Football Club set out to achieve. He doesn't love the club the same way that you do or I do or any of the guys, with the exception of Niall, because he's an Argyle fan, that love our club the way that we do. He will go because he can do so much more with that money, and it's a different challenge for him. Football's changed. Let's be romantic and stupid for a minute and say that we get to sign Mbappe in the summer and he comes to Liverpool because Nike was out with a salary and we did something to get him. We keep him for 4 years and then he goes to Real Madrid for 300 million quid. That's the way football's gone. Cristiano Ronaldo walked down to Manchester United in all their pomp to go to Real Madrid, because that's what footballers do. They have an image and a vision in their mind of where they want to play.
Yeah,
they're not loyal.
It's a career plan.
It's not like Barcelona and Real Madrid are going to be as bad as they are at the moment. I say that they're still challenging for titles. They're still at the top of the stage, but they're not quite what they want. They're going to be back, aren't they, at some point? So
100%. Yeah, of course they'll be back. Football can't survive without Barcelona and Real Madrid. They're institutions. But if you take those guys out of the equation, the Champions League's not worth a carrot, because they are the draw. They are the big draw. Whether you like it or not, those are the clubs that all professional footballers, certainly the South Americans, look to as the holy grail. Football can't afford for them to fail.
I guess the question is, how much would imagine those clubs have got funds? How much would we demand for Salah? And I can't imagine we'd be looking to sell him for anything less than 120 million.
I agree.
I don't know
120 does it. 120 does it, I think. If someone comes knocking on the door for 120 million quid, he's never spoken to anybody ever. He's a very quiet man, but he's done 2 interviews with Marco this season, which tells you a lot, because he knew full well Marco were going to say to him, do you see yourself playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona? And his answer was, right now I'm happy, but you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, he keeps it very open-minded, because he's not silly. Like, he's not going to promise anything, because he knows that anything can happen in the future. So there's no way he's going to promise to us that he's going to stay for the next 15 or 10 years, is there? Because that's realistically just not going to happen.
No, and we did a pod in December with a journalist who specifically works for Liverpool Football Club. His name's David Lynch. And he told us that at that point, Salah's agent was asking for a contract with Liverpool, saying no.
Yeah,
so
it's also a negotiation tactic potentially.
Yeah,
you know, if he doesn't get, if they don't come calling and PSG don't come calling, then at least he can kind of sweeten his weekly wage, you know, by an extra $100,000 a week.
Well, and that's the thing, like you're guaranteed to get a pay rise if he's getting another contract. That's for sure. Dom saying I'm the undercover Liverpool and City and Exeter fan. Well, you must have. I mean,
don't tell us then. That's not
judging by the Liverpool and City in the same sentence. Whilst being a United fan, I really do question if I'm right to have the you on the United show. And to be an Exeter fan just shows you an idiot. Big up to Indiana saying the dream is over. We warned you.
Indiana, my guy.
Wait, is Kabak injured?
I saw that he's been playing with niggles for the past few weeks, which is why he's been getting subbed off. So
yeah, maybe he is. I've no idea.
Hopefully, it's not enough to actually keep him out of the game. But if he's playing through pain, then
yeah, you know. I'm not part of Liverpool's medical team, so I wouldn't have a clue.
So we have Arsenal man as our medical team. I don't trust you.
Solo saying deluded to think they're still bottle top for Liverpool. Get it? I don't think anyone has said that. But cool.
I think he's talking to Daniel in the chat.
Mbappe won't play for a team that won't be in Europe.
He can afford not to. He can afford. He's 22 years old. If he wanted to, he can afford a season.
If he believes project enough, then yes. If you don't believe in the project, then there's no hope. But
Correct.
I do believe that Jurgen Klopp would have some sway.
I think if we were to get Champions League football, I don't think the Mbappe situation is beyond the realms of possibility. But I think without Champions League football, we lose potentially, I don't know, £60 million a year in income.
Yeah.
I think that basically draws a line.
I think that's why more someone like a Sancho or someone like is, even though it's kind of still a little bit unrealistic because he's still going to be like 70, 80, 90 million. Because he's going from Dortmund, it's more of a sideways
but move
into Europa League.
There are good players out
like
there. There are plenty of good players out there. We can find good players
100%.
at reasonable prices. I'm confident in that. So I don't. Although Mbappe would be great, I'm not wedded to any individual player because I believe our recruitment team is strong enough to find good players pretty much anywhere.
Trust them, 100%.
Totally agree with that. The last bit I want to talk about before we do the picture quiz, which is it's actually quite fun, and you sort of need to beat United. Is obviously playing Southampton. It's okay. I deducted that point and sent RJ off. It's fine. But basically, you've got Southampton coming up over the weekend. They obviously beat you at St Mary's 1-0 through one of the smartest free kick routines I've probably seen. They definitely rehearsed that on the training field, that's for sure. What's your expectations? I mean, it's being held at Anfield, so that in itself adds quite a few questionable decisions at the moment because the record at Anfield isn't the greatest. But what are you expecting from the game this weekend?
I think we'll beat them. I think up front we'll have too much for them. I do genuinely believe that. I think they're very, very hit and miss. When they're bad, they're absolutely dreadful. It would just be our luck that they turn up at the weekend and the goalkeeper would have a weld in, one of the centre Arsenal score set piece. But I do genuinely believe we'll have too much for them. I don't think they're in a great place to have. They've got very little to play for. And when teams come to you with very little to play for, they're safe. They're not going anywhere. We've got to win the game. We've got to win the game. I think that will make the difference. And I'm hoping this intensity that's been gone since December, I'm hoping it's back because without that, we're a completely different proposition.
Yeah. We've had quite a bit of break for the first time in a little while, haven't we? So hopefully that freshness, that firepower will come back at least a little bit more. And the fact that they don't have Danny Ings as well, and I think they've got a few first team issues with injuries. Hopefully we can just take advantage for once because a team like Southampton, it always seems to be a bogey team. We seem to have a lot of them for some reason, like Burnley, West Brom, who we've also got next as well. It's like we've just got to take advantage of these teams that are in sort of mid-table or just below for once, because this season it just seems like we might dominate possession but stick 50 crosses in per game but not actually get anything from it. And it's just we just need to take advantage for once.
Yeah, no, I hear that. What about you, Rack? What's your feelings before the game? I think it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah,
tomorrow. I think it's 8, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always go into these games positive, and I think we can win. I think we can do enough to win. I think we're good enough to win. But just like I said before, you can't trust us to get a result at the moment. But I'm going to say Liverpool win because why the hell not?
I hear that. What about you, Velv?
Yeah, I was just checking through the Southampton injury list. So yeah, Ings is out, Romeo, Bertrand, and Smallbone, they're all out. So I feel like since Salah's on form, you can tap that left-hand side. So I feel like we'll win this game 2-0.
2-0? I mean, that keeping a clean sheet might be a bit, especially if you give a free kick in a shootable distance for I mean, that's probably. I was just about to say that's probably the one thing Klopp's probably told his players: don't give away free kicks anywhere in and around that. Yeah. Don't have it where it can be shot from. That would not go well. But we'll be doing. We're going to do the quiz now, which is it is a fun one. I need to get my stopwatch out actually. Basically, I was just about to say what the that music is something different, Gini. I need to get my stopwatch out. So you get a minute to look at the picture. Obviously, If you know the answer, you just shout out. So you need to tell me what the score was.
No, can
what
you
the
hear me?
competition?
Mate?
I can, mate. What the score was, what the competition was, and the year. Not the season, the exact year it was. So, like, for example, 2015, right? It's got to be the exact year it was, not the season. I'm a tricky one here. I'm a tricky one. But you get a minute. Tom is, I've no idea where Tom went to. He loves a quiz. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for him. But I just need to make sure that. Hold up a minute.
How come you announced the quiz and RJ's already in the chat when you announced the quiz?
Hello. Well, I'm hoping they'll. RJ, I may or may not have sent you a tweet, a message. Fancy replying to me? That would be mega helpful. Ready for the United show in about 40 minutes. It would be ideal. But back to Liverpool lot. This is your first picture. As I said, you get a minute to look at it. And yeah, basically have fun. So this is picture number 1.
And what do we call out our name or something?
Now you just shout out.
4-0, 2014 Premier League.
Yeah, 13-14.
You've got to give the exact year, though, yeah. So it's 2014 was the back end.
Yeah, that's right.
4-0.
And what competition?
Premier League.
Premier League.
Nice. That was quite a quick one. So picture number 2 is this one.
Fucking hell, it's like 2010-11. I think.
Gonzalez Rodriguez.
It's against. Yeah, it was against West Ham. That
was
2012.
2000. No, because Torres is in the picture, so Torres was still there. It must have been 2010 or earlier.
I think it's 2010
or 2011. He left in January, didn't he?
Yeah, I think. I think 2010. That one.
2000, yeah, something like that. Rodriguez. When did he sign? He was there in 2009.
I think it was 2010.
Yeah, 2010 West Ham.
If I could see the kit properly.
No idea what the score was.
It's the 2010-11 kit. That's what it is.
Yeah, we had that for 2 years, but because Torres is still there, it has to be 2010.
10 seconds.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
Fuck, we battered them. It was like 3 or 4-0. I'm gonna go 3-0. I'm gonna go 3-0.
Yeah,
I don't think we scored 4. I think it was 3.
I don't think Niall will put 4-0 twice. I think 3-0.
I just remember
Or could he?
You never know with me. I have been prone to catching people out many times. For example, for the Arsenal lot, I put them where they were wearing the Premier League badge, and it was actually a Carling Cup game. So I wouldn't bank on me not doing something to try and catch you out. So what are you going for? You're going 2010.
2010, 3-0 Premier League.
Maxi Rodriguez scorer.
Maxi Rodriguez.
So picture number 3.
That's Arsenal. That's because that's Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
2001.
2001, yeah.
Is that the game where Gerrard scored that worldie?
Oh, it might be.
That's at Anfield.
That's Babel. That's Babel, isn't it? Taking Vieira down.
Yeah.
It's Babel. And Igor Biscan in the background. Bloody hell.
Correct. It's 2001.
That's a blast from the past. Was Biscan there in 2001? I think
he was.
Was there? Wasn't Biscan Benitez signing?
Absolutely battered them at Anfield at the end of the season.
Yeah, because that's the kit we wore in the FA Cup final.
We
it's
absolutely
not, that's the year the kit we wore.
Yeah, that's the treble kit.
Are you sure it's 2001? That one.
We absolutely
Biscan was there in 2001. You know.
I can't remember the score.
2003 or something like that.
No, because Babel didn't play then. He had like a massive illness, and he didn't play from after the thingy.
Yeah, he had
but remember that back then you had the same kit for a couple of seasons, so it might be 2002.
I'm pretty sure it's 2000.
No, because we had
the 17.
One was like gold and one was white.
I remember that kit. I'm pretty sure that was because Gerrard scored first. It was the worldie from a corner, which got
I think that's 2002.
It's 2000. That's the 2000-2001 kit.
No, because okay, I'll go with you then.
I'm sure it is. I may be wrong, but I'm sure that's the 2000-2001 kit. I think we won 4-0 because Gerrard scored. I think Nicky Barmby scored. Michael Owen probably got on the score sheet, and I think Robbie Fowler got one as well. I think it was
end of the season, wasn't it? Were they champions as well when we did that?
I don't know. I thought it in my head because I've watched it back a couple of times from Gerrard highlights and stuff. I thought it was like December time.
But I was listening to Thierry Henry the other day, and he said they went to Anfield as champions, end of the season, and got absolutely annihilated. And it was around the time when we beat them in the FA Cup. So the year could be about right. But it could
Is it the FA Cup game?
It's not the FA Cup game because that's Anfield.
You can tell with the ground.
I'm going to put my neck on the line. If we lose points, we lose points. I think it's 2000, not 2001. I think it was just before the 10 of the year.
I don't know if Igor Biscan was playing in 2000 though. I don't think. I think he was signed in like 2002. Igor Biscan.
No, he was one of like. He was one. I think he was one of the signs of the joint Roy Evans, Gerard Houllier era.
Oh really? Maybe you're right.
Wait, so you think it's 2000?
I think it's 2000.
Let's just take a vote. Who thinks it's 2000?
I'm happy to go with you guys. Whatever you want.
I'm relatively confident it's 2000.
I'll say 2002, but I'll go with you, Tom.
I may be wrong. I'll put my neck on the line. 2000, 4-0 Premier League.
Picture number 4 is this one.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, my days.
When did Anelka play for
City?
Is that Anelka 1-0
2002, I think.
City beat us?
Leicester against Slap.
I think that's 2002,
Is that the last
isn't
time
it?
City beat us?
It might be,
Yeah, it might be.
It was
1-0 Anelka.
and it would be. Yeah, I think that's 2002.
Yeah, that's definitely 2002.
Leicester's next 3 games are Man United, Chelsea, and Spurs. You never know. You never know.
I think it might be 2003.
I think it was
When did
3-0.
Anelka play? When did Anelka play for City?
I think it.
That's for us. That's been played for us.
02 sounds right.
So you sure 2003? Could that?
Was it not the end of the 02-03 season?
Could possibly.
10 seconds.
I'm trying to remember because it was
I
there was the whole
thought it
thing
was
last season,
2003.
wasn't it?
Anelka joined in 02. Anelka joined in May 02. I think it was 2003.
1-0 City 2003. Yeah, I think so as well.
I think it's 2003.
I don't know if it was 1-0,
Oh, I thought it was 1-0.
I thought it was 2-1 because I thought Anelka got a brace.
Yes.
I thought he scored a last-minute winner. I think it was Luis Garcia on Milan Baros who got our goal. Then Anelka got the pen and he got a last-minute winner.
Oh, right. Yeah, possibly then. It's definitely the last time City beat us, so maybe you're right then.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I'll put my neck on the line again here. I think it's 2-1, 2003.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Premier League.
So your last picture is this one.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's against Swansea.
Is that 5-0?
It's
5-0 Liverpool.
is that 2011-12?
Is it Jose Enrique?
Well, that's Joe Allen. That's Joe Allen in the back.
That's Suarez,
So that's before. That's pre-Rodgers. That's when Rodgers would have been at.
So it would be 11-12. It would be 11-12.
Yeah, I think it's 11-12. I think, wasn't this?
Well, we had that home shirt for 2 years, didn't we? We had it from 2010 to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
So is it not
Suarez
5-0?
joined in the January, didn't he? So it must be, it must be 11-12.
I think it. Oh, I think Michel Vorm had a masterclass against us. I think it ended 0-0.
Wait, is this that
I
Anfield?
seem to remember Michel Vorm.
No, that's Craven.
Oh, it could be 3-2. No, that's 3-2 though.
I think it's 0-0. Because I think Michel Vorm had a wonder save right at the end. I can't remember who it was against,
10 seconds.
but we should have won.
He normally puts a picture of like a shot when it's a goal, so it could be 0-0 because he hasn't put a picture of someone shooting.
No, I swear, wasn't that the year we won 3-2 against Swansea?
I think the year we won 3-2, we had Joe Allen.
Yeah, that was that not after?
I think it's 0-0. You know.
Yeah, I think that was after.
I think it's 0-0.
I remember the bloody results. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure we scored in that. Okay.
I'm gonna go 0-0. Oh, what fucking year? It was fucking 11-12. Oh,
I'm going with 3-2 because I'm pretty sure that year.
That's the one I'm most confident on. It's 0-0 because I remember fucking Michel Vaughan making a wonder save right at the end. I think it was against Andy Carroll because it was a cross in and Carroll had a brilliant header and Michel Vaughan like tipped it over the bar. I think it was 2011. And I think it was Premier League. That's what I'm going to go for.
Okay.
Probably have a stinker in this quiz.
I do like it. I do like hearing people trying to second guess what I do. It's never a good. It's never a good move, right? It's never.
Niall, I have to. Ever since you decided to put a question on from when I was 2 and my other teammates weren't even born yet, so I do have to second guess it from that point.
Hey, that's not my fault. I just pick some pictures and you just got to know them. It's okay, John. When I've got an idea on what I'm going to be doing next time, which is going to proper throw you lot off. Just FYI, black and white is all I'm going to say. Might take some colours out.
Now it's going to make us guess the picture then recreate the goal.
It's going to be like Shankly's teams.
He's gonna make us finish the squad with the fucking 77-78 Champions League final team.
To be fair, it could be one of current year where I just hand it to a black and white picture and you have to try and guess.
Stop trying to delay. Give me the answers.
Niall, how many did you get right?
Well, I'll go through them now. So the first one.
What did the Chelsea boys get?
They got 15 out of 15.
Oh.
Yeah, they're cheats.
Anyway, you're not fighting them. They're like 10 points behind you. So the first one was Liverpool 4, Everton 0, Premier League 2014. The second one was Liverpool 3, West Ham 0, Premier League 2010. The third one was Liverpool 4, Arsenal 0, Premier League 2000. The fourth one was Liverpool 1, Manchester City 2, Premier League in 2003. And the fifth one was Liverpool 0, Swansea 0 in the Premier League in 2011, because your fans were absolutely fuming after that game, as I read on BBC Sport.
Is it 15 out of 15? Just say it. Just say it.
It is 15 out of 15.
Yeah!
Well, I don't know. Do you not remember the answers you gave? Gini's trying to get me copyrighted, I swear. Mute him. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there. I think that's been a decent show. I was worried at one point I'd have to go and host a United show as well, but I can just sit there and relax because RJ has actually.
Oh my God, it's 4-0. Oh my days.
What?
Hey,
Leicester. Could Leicester really
Callum Wilson brace.
To Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
Callum Wilson with a brace.
Unbelievable. But we're going to leave it there. Everyone watching, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Go check out our Twitter at Let's Talk EPL and our No Context one at Let's Talk LTPL, which Gini is in full control of. So if you're clipped, it wasn't me. That's all I'm saying. And also check out our Instagram, Let's Talk EPL_, and our TikTok that I'm going to be nicking the No Context tweets off and putting them on there. But before we do go, Steve, where can they find you, mate?
Red Sky Pods, come and have a look. Come and join the panel. We've got post and pre and post match shows for the Southampton game. Zane Talks Sports is Zane Talks NFC on a Tuesday. Always looking for people to come and join in with that one. So yeah, come down to Red Sky and have a look.
100%. And Reese, where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, just over on Twitter, LFC_Reese. Yeah.
100%. And Tom, where can they find you?
At the trophy parade when the Liverpool boys finally win this quiz ahead of them United sheets. 15 out of 15, third week running, they're scared. I'll tell you what, I will love it when we beat them. Love it.
Calm down, Kevin Keegan. Calm down. But Rack, where can they find you, mate?
Just on Twitter at Raxing1. That's it. I don't do YouTube or anything like that, but I sometimes pop onto Football Terrace and some other channels that some of my friends kind of run. So yeah, I'm around.
Yeah, 100%. And Velv, where can they find you, mate?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at VEL_skills.
100%, 100%. We'll be back, Paul. I'll be back in about 25 minutes for the United show. Plenty of talk about them. Ollie has finally broken the cast, so they should be in relatively good mood. But we'll soon see. But then tomorrow we've got match reaction of the Chelsea City game and reaction of Liverpool versus Southampton. We've also got Formula One qualifying that we'll be doing watch along for, as well as Sunday is something else. Got plenty going on this channel this weekend, so make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. But until next time, thanks for watching, and we will see you later.